Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, this was the dumbest night of my life. I can't even believe it. I can't even where do I even start? At the beginning, I guess, right? All right. So... Okay, so last night, actually, a bit of background before I tell the story of what happened last night, okay? So, as you may or may not know, in high school, I used to be a huge pothead, okay? I used to be a huge pothead in high school. It was not good, all right? It was really not good. Um, I was a pothead to the point where, long story short, I got in trouble with the police, right? Now, I was 17 at the time. It wasn't really a big deal. In the end, I got like community service, 50 hours or whatever. It was fine. Um, Actually ended up meeting a future dealer of mine at community service, which I thought was hilarious. I think that's how a lot of those connections were made, actually. Regardless of that. Those times are way behind us. We're no longer potheads. We're straight edge streamers, okay? That's what we are, all right? So the problem with me getting caught with pot wasn't really the community service I had to do or anything. The problem was that in Germany, if you get caught with pot, that will the DMV, basically the equivalent of what we have here, will be notified of that, even if you don't even own a license at the time. So what happened when I applied for my license when I was 18 was they were like, yo, you smoked weed 2 years ago? One time? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? All right, you have to prove to us right now that you haven't smoked any weed whatsoever. So you have to take like a test, right? You have to take like a test. Shit costs a lot of money too, right? And you have to take a test in order to get like a pretty extensive like psychological and physical test to prove that you're capable of getting a license, right? We call this the MPU, medizinisch-psychologische Untersuchung, the medical psychological examination. All right. So I did that shit, right? Quit smoking weed. I did that shit. I passed it, right? Got my license, right? Now the problem is that's not the only consequence. That part, dude, taking a pee test is fucking awful. I had to stand in like this doctor's office. I was standing in the fucking bathroom way back then, right? And they have this little fucking mirror on top of the fucking urinal so the guy can look over to your shoulder on your dick to see if you're actually pissing into the cup. It's the worst shit ever. I don't know about you guys. Personally, as a guy, I can't pee if someone's watching me, okay? I can barely pee when there's like 2 people around me at the urinals. I can't fucking do it. I can't get out a single drop, okay? I can't fucking do it, all right? I don't know about you guys, but I can't fucking do it, okay? So, it's just not possible, right? So I passed the test, right? All good. Now the issue is that though that kind of thing, even though it's not really like on my record per se, like an employer or somebody's never gonna see this. The only people who are gonna be able to see that I had something to do with pot when I was like 16, 17 are judges and people who if you go into if a cop pulls you over in traffic, they're gonna be able to see that history. Okay. So 4 years ago, I had my license for like a month maybe. I got pulled over by cops and they were like, yo, something happened in your past, we're gonna make you pee, right? I was nervous as fuck at the time, all right? The whole ordeal with me getting caught with weed and whatever made me pretty fucking nervous towards cops. I get really anxious when I see like police cars in the street. I've told this on stream before. I often have nightmares about being chased by the police and blah, 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 right? This is a very emotional topic for me. I get super fucking anxious, right? So 4 years ago, that happened. I was like, nah, I can't pee. I'm too nervous. I can't do this. Blah, blah, blah. My girlfriend at the time, Cora, was with me, and she kind of talked to him as well. And then eventually they let me go. That was all cool. But that shit really, really, really scared me and probably contributed to me having nightmares and stuff, right? So fast forward to last night, right? Fast forward to last night, okay? I beat Blue Kaizo. I was in fucking heaven, right? I edit my highlights. I get everything done. I'm like, okay, it's 12:30. Burger King closes at 1 a.m. Burger King closes at 1 a.m. I'm going to go drive to Burger King, right? Get in the car, right? Start driving, right? Right before the Burger King, there's like a little, what's it called? You guys don't have a lot of these in the U.S. We have a lot of these here. What are the circular intersections called? Fuck, what's the name? A roundabout, right? A roundabout? A roundabout. There's a little roundabout, right? I drive into it, and I'm going a little bit. I'm not going like above the speed limit or anything. The cop car is like coming around the corner, and I'm driving in, right? And I think they had to brake like a little bit, right? A little bit, right? You smoked pot? What? Like 4 years? I mean, I'm not really a pothead anymore, no. Oh, just to clarify real quick in this story, the entirety of last night, I was completely 100% sober, okay? Just to put that out there, okay? Anyway, I hadn't even drank like a celebratory beer for beating Blue Kaizo. It's all good, Caps. Not even that, right? So right. So I go into the roundabout a little bit fast, right? Not too fast. I didn't even like. It was completely fine to drive in there, right? The cop said as much, right? So I pull in front of the police car, right? I pull out of the roundabout, right, into the Burger King parking lot. The cops are behind me. They park next to me and they get out, right? And I can feel my anxiety increasing, right? I can feel my anxiety increasing at that moment, right? Because I'm like, God fucking damn it, please, not again. I was literally in the Burger King parking lot, right? So they come out, right, and they're like, hey, okay, we just want to talk to you real quick, right? It's like, where's your first aid kit in your car, right? And your little like warning triangle thing, right? Those are the things that they usually start to check for, and they like driver's license and whatever else papers they need, right? So I hand them that, right? And they look over it, right? You're required to have a first aid kit in your car at all times in Germany. They look over it. Dude comes back and he's like, you can get out the vehicle. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And he's like, all right, you kind of seem like you're a little bit impaired right now, right? So I was only wearing a jacket and my t-shirt, right? It was pretty cold outside. It was pretty fucking cold. I was shaking a little bit, and I was also anxious as fuck, right? I was just nervous because the cop is fucking talking to me, and that shit is like an intense emotional situation for me considering my past, right? So he's like, I kind of feel like you're high, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm 100% sober, right? Like, cause I am fucking 100% sober. You cannot imagine the fucking frustration that comes with that, right? So he's like, yeah, we're gonna do some tests, right? So he like shines a light in my eye and he's like, looks pretty good, right? And then I gotta do this weird test where I'm like, saw a pot like this in his car. I gotta do a test where I gotta like stand up and then raise my hands up and close my eyes and go like this and then try to stand still. And that shit, right? I can kind of do it right now, but when you're freezing and you're anxious, that's kind of hard to do. That's not that fucking easy, okay? Right? I had a Jesus pose. Exactly, yeah. I had a T-pose on him, pretty much. That shit's not that fucking easy, okay? So he's looking at me, and he's like, yeah, you're shaking quite a bit, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm cold, and I'm anxious, because fuck this shit, right? This is a pretty fucking intense situation for me right now. I'm being accused of driving high. What the fuck is that shit, right? So he's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna piss in a cup, okay? I'm like, all right, I'm not high. I'm ready to piss in a cup, right? So I'd gone to the bathroom right before I drove to Burger King, right? And he gets out the cup, right? And he's like, okay, we're gonna go around the corner, right? And you're gonna piss in the cup. I'm gonna stand behind you, right? And I don't know if you remember from what I said earlier, I can't fucking piss when someone's fucking watching me, especially if it's cold outside. My dick is literally shriveling into my fucking body, okay? I can't. I cannot piss in that fucking intense situation. It's really fucking hard to relax in that fucking situation. It's really fucking difficult, okay? It's really hard. And he's like, interesting. You can't piss. That's kind of suspicious, isn't it? I'm like, dog, no, I'm just really cold, and this is not. Okay, just show of hands in chat. Who honestly believes in chat right now that they would have been able to piss in that situation? Type 1. Assuming that you don't have to piss like really bad. If you think if you think you could have not pressed out a single drop, type 2 in chat. Yeah, there you go. All right. All right. Would I have been able to even though I had to pee really bad? All right. It might be different for women because I think women can always like kind of pee a little bit, right? Anyway. If I was drunk, I could do it. True. Yeah. So anyway, I'm like standing there, right? I'm trying really hard. I'm relaxing. I'm trying to go through like meditative cycles that I practice and shit like that, right? I can't press out a single drop. And I'm like standing there with my dick out, right? I'm trying to he's like behind me. I'm trying to make like small talk with him. I'm like, you on a night shift right now? Because I'm trying to relate to this guy on like a human level, right? I'm trying to like get into his mind that like, I'm just a guy who wants to get Burger King right now and I'm not high or anything, right? Right? So I'm like, yeah, dude, I can't do it. I can't piss. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do, right? And he's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to have to take a blood test from you. I'm like, what the fuck is that shit, right? He's like, but in order to get a blood test, we're going to have to call a judge and get their confirmation that we can do that, right? Would you sit in the police car, please? And I'm like, this can't be fucking happening to me right now, right? This can't be fucking happening to me, right? It's humiliating as fuck, right? Anyway, they get me into the car, right? He calls up the judge, right? He's like, yeah, all right. And then he's like, okay, the judge wants to talk to you, right? And it's this female judge, right? It's 1 a.m. at this point, by the way. I see the Burger King closing up. I'm like, holy fuck, I can't fucking believe this shit, right? And she's like, yeah, so you've been accused of driving under the influence. What do you say to that? I'm like, I'm talking to the judge, right? I'm trying to relate to her on a human level now, right? I'm like, literally all I wanted to do is get some Burger King, right? And now for some reason I'm sitting in the back of a police car and wondering how I'm going to get home tonight, right? And she's like, okay. And the police officer said that your eyes were red and that you were shaking, right? What do you say to that? And I'm like, so I sat in front of a computer screen for 8 hours earlier, and it's really fucking cold outside. That's why I'm shaking and my eyes are red, right? I can't think of any other reason, right? She's like, okay, I'm going to have to think about it, right? I give the cop back the phone, right? They talk a little bit. He opens the door and he's like, well, she said we're going to do it, so we're going to do it, right? I'm like, I can't fuck. Why did she even fucking want to talk to me? Why did she even want to fucking talk to me? What could I have possibly said in that situation to convince her for that not to happen, right? What could I have possibly said, right? And then we're like, yeah, okay. So we're going to drive to the hospital now and you're going to take a blood sample, right? And so we drive, right? We start driving, right? And we sit in the back of the car. I sit in the back of the car with this cop, right? I'm starting to make conversation with him, right? I'm really angry at him, but I'm trying to not let it out, first of all, because how does that help me? And second of all, he's just doing his job, right? I don't give a fuck, right? Right? Did you curse when talking to the judge? Of course not. No. I was a fucking sunshine. I was a beautiful sunshine of that person, right? You have proof that you weren't in front of his skin for 8 hours? That's true, yeah. Anyway, so we're sitting in the back of the car. I'm starting to make conversation. I'm like, how long have you been a cop, right? Do you like it? Blah, blah, blah. What have you done before? And then we're talking about my university stuff and everything. And it's really cool. I'm starting to relate to him and everything, right? So we pull up in the hospital, right? And I think in that moment, the cop kind of starts to realize like that he fucked up. Especially when we like enter the room with the doctor and I'm like talking to her and they're talking to her, right? And we're doing like really well. We're making conversation, right? And she starts to ask me like some questions, and then the doctor wants me to do like some stupid tests, like do this shit, right? And walk and like do the pupil test. And she's like, yep, looks good. Looks fine. Everything looks good to me. Looks pretty good, right? And with every like test that I pass, I just see like the doubt in this policeman's eyes kind of like grow harder about like how much he just like kind of fucked up, right? Because I'm like, because it's like so fucking apparent that I'm 100% sober in this situation, right? I'm super 100% well functioning. I'm making conversation, right? I'm perfectly normal, right? I wasn't like, I wasn't even like nervous or anxious anymore. I just accepted my fate at that point, right? So, so I'm sitting there, right? And like she draws the fucking blood, right? And she kind of turns to me and whispers, and she's like, "Yeah, those cops can be pretty mean sometimes, can't they?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're just doing their job, you know." She's probably used to that guy pulling up with random fucking people every night, right? She takes out the blood samples, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Um, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's pack it up, right? And we pack it up. And like on the way back, and they were like, okay, we're gonna drive you home, right? Because they couldn't confirm in that moment that I was sober technically because those blood tests take a while to come back, right? And again, I'm like talking to him. He's like, "Do you want to say anything to this?" I'm like, "All I want to say is that I'm 100% sober, right?" Um, and like on the way back, as they drive me back, my car was still at the Burger King parking lot, by the way. As they're driving me back home, and I'm making more conversation with this guy, it's becoming like super apparent that he 100% knows that I'm sober and that he fucked up, right? It's becoming, they took a lot, they took 2 vials of this big of blood. It was pretty crazy. I didn't know there was this much blood to take. Um, all of it, yeah. It's becoming super apparent that he's like, that he kind of feels sorry a little bit. Um, It was just a scam by vampires. Yeah. Because he's like sitting there and he's like, well, I mean, it went pretty fast. You kind of just lost an hour and you didn't get Burger King, you know, but at least you're going to get home now, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's okay, you know, it's fine. And we're making conversation. And it's like super obvious he's like trying to justify why it's not that bad of a situation for me right now, right? Um, it was it was crazy, dude. And then they let me out, and I never got Burger King because Burger King closed. What state do I live in? I live in Germany. So yeah, that's the story of how I drove home in a cop car last night. You guys need a Bill of Rights? No BK after being BK. Should have gotten McDonald's. You're right, dude. I should have gotten McDonald's. Nothing would have happened then. What's up, Bastion? What a fucking asshole. I can't describe how frustrating it is to be accused that you're high and you're just sober, right? It's so frustrating. Why did I move to Germany? I'm German. I've lived in Germany almost my entire life. You were drunk on happiness. From Journey 2, and I think the cops get in some kind of trouble if that happens. I don't think so. I don't think he'll get in trouble. Or maybe he will. I don't know. I don't think so. The thing is, from his perspective, I could have just pissed, right? But I literally couldn't take the piss test. I literally physically couldn't. Not a single drop of urine would have been extractable from my penis in that situation. You have an accent, though? Exclamation point English for an explanation of why my English sounds like this. Basically, grew up in Asia, learned English from an extremely young age, and grew up around American media. They get a court order. Yep, they called up a judge. I talked to the judge too, and they were like, "Yep, the judge wanted to get a blood test." Even if I would have drank something, I asked them for water or something. They were like, "No, we don't have anything." The police had a reason to believe that PC was high, given him shaking and having red eyes. Yeah, and the judge ordered the blood test. I don't think they're going to get into trouble. The only satisfying thing to me about this is that the policeman directly will get that blood test back and he will call me up personally. Or at least that's what he told me. One thing I was afraid about, because I read about this on the internet, is that I thought that they can't keep your license until the blood test comes back, which would have sucked. But he gave me back my license, so. I did not pick up your local accent. If you learn a language from a very, very early age, like 3 years old, which I did, you often just don't develop an accent. Or maybe I'm just a special case. I don't know. He gave me his card. I should dox him right now. I should just do it. Anyway. All right. We done? Let's set up some blue Kaizo.